Okay, let's talk about tip number 2, emails. Emails are great, except when they aren't. You know, in today's world, we do a lot of emailing, a lot of IMing, a lot of things that don't actually involve using our voices directly to speak to customers or family or anybody else. So our words have a lot of weight now in business particularly. So there's a few things that I want to bring to your attention about emails that I'd like you to think about when you're composing them, when you're reading them, and how you use email as a tool to communicate with your customers. The first thing I would say about emails is to get to the point. I learned a long time ago in dealing in international customer service that the best way to communicate with particularly people who don't speak English as a second language or people who are even just in a hurry to get to an answer is to not use flowery language. Don't get crazy with long words and just make it short, concise, and to the point. That's the best way to get your point across. Another thing that I like to caution people on, especially in a company, is to be careful with the carbon copy. Beware of the CC. I think this is one of the most abused things about email that we have today because people tend to overcopy others on their emails. When you hit that CC line, think about what you really want to do with that email. Do you really need to copy your boss, your boss's boss, 5 other people in the company, and the customer when you're just sending it to them? Probably not. And another point of caution with CCs, and some companies have strict rules about this, is that you should not be copying copying an employee, an internal employee, on an email that's going externally to a customer. Why? That person now has access, that customer has access directly to your shipping manager or the lady in accounts receivable who shouldn't be talking to them directly. They're going through you. You don't want that person to go around you. You don't want them to start intercepting you to get direct answers from other parts of the company. So be very careful with that. Another tip I highly recommend for emails is the reread rule. I call it the 3 reread rule for a reason. I learned a while ago that when I write an email, sometimes I'm put a lot of tone in it. And it's not tone that you can hear in a voice because I'm not actually talking, but it's tone that's perceived in the email by the reader. You don't want that in your emails. You want your message to be clear and to the point. So what I recommend to employees and to coworkers is that they take that email, write it, and go back and reread it at least 3 times. By the time you've got to that third rereading of it, you know what you really want to say, and you know how you want it to sound, and you've removed all the bias and the anger and subjectiveness that you had in that original message. Take the time, edit your email, and you'll have a much more clear and concise message to deliver to your customer. Another way to rephrase that is remove the mood and the tude. So, another thing about emails is that I think emails can be overused in times when you really are trying to talk to a customer and resolve an issue. And my general rule is if I have to reply to an email more than twice, meaning the back and forth between a customer and I has happened more than twice, that means I'm probably not getting my message across or I'm not understanding what they are. If it takes more than 2 times to resolve something with a customer, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and talk to them. Find out what it is. A 30-second phone call can save you a lot of time in back and forth and waiting for answers from a customer. And if you're upset about that or you're not sure that you're going to say what you want to say, script it out. Take the moment to write down your thoughts so when you call the customer back, you've got a prepared list of things you want to talk to them about, and it allows you to sound much more professional and really impress your customer. Now, a lot of people will say to that last statement that, oh, I want a paper trail. I always want to have a paper trail with my customer because they'll come back and they'll pull this email out and then I can prove that I talked to them. And that's okay if you need a paper trail to do that. Take the time after you have called the customer to jot a quick email to them and say, hey, based off our phone call, these are the things we covered. Please confirm if you agree. That covers yourself in that case then. So those are some things I'd recommend with emailing. Be careful with your emails. Now, let's move on to our next tip, tip number 3, fingers. Our fingers are for typing and dialing, not pointing.